Hi, I'm Connie from The Painted Photographer. Welcome back, my friends. I hope you enjoy this video. This is a small project that I thought was pretty fun and it turned out really cool. I did not know what to expect, so I hope that you like it.
We're going to take this old sap bucket. It's painted white already. It's just a little dingy, needs a little facelift. So we're going to take the veranda stamp from IOD, and it has the lattice on it, which is a really good background. And then it also has a frame and some rose flowers on it, which is gorgeous. When you use your stamps for the first time, you want to make sure that you season them. And you can do this by taking a 120 grit sandpaper and just running over the textured side of this stamp to make sure that you get all that factory off of it. Then we're going to use the conservatory labels mold and the frames mold. I have my IOD clay, which is a really, really good soft clay that you can form into whatever shape that you need. For this one, we're going to roll it out on a rolling pin. I'm going to use some cornstarch to put it on my thin mount that is also from IOD. And I'm going to roll it really, really thin. And as I try and get it off of here, it is kind of stuck. I didn't use enough cornstarch, but it's okay. I wanted a rough look for my clay anyway. So the clay it's coming off. It's just a little on the rougher side, so I ended up doing a couple different methods, finally getting my paint spatula and scraping it off. And I could have just scraped it all off and started over with a little bit more cornstarch, but I was trying to save the work of having to do that. So if you get it on there, you can figure out a way to get it off. The clay will come off. So again, I didn't mind the roughness of this because I was going to use the veranda stamp anyway. Here we're using the wood glue, the Titebond wood glue that you can find on Amazon. I'll leave a link below. And you put it all over the sap bucket, and then you take your clay and you put it on top of that wood glue. And you want to make sure that you have wood glue underneath all of your stamp. I just put it on with my fingers, which you can use a brush if you choose not to get it on your fingers, but I really didn't mind. And I just made sure that it was on all of my edges and stuck that down. And after I got that all completely stuck down, it would fold up a little bit here and there. So it is kind of a tedious process, and you can just keep working with it. You'll get it. Now the clay is still wet. It did not dry at all. This is immediately after. I am taking the veranda, the lattice part of the veranda stamp, and I'm pressing the imprint of the lattice into that soft clay. And you can line it up and just keep pressing it in. One thing you have to be cautious about is that clay is soft, so when you're pushing it on your table, you're flattening out the other side. So just be careful with that. It is kind of hard to keep that round object in the upright position. So if you're doing this on a flat board or something, it probably is going to be a little bit easier. This was a little bit on the tricky side, but was also worth it in the end. So after I got this all done here, I noticed that I did flatten it out a bit on the other side because I was pushing a little bit too hard. So I just gently placed it back where I wanted it and went back over. Now I'm going to take the frames mold and lightly dust that with cornstarch and take some more of the IOD clay, pushing it into the cavity of that mold, and then rubbing it back with my thumb to get the excess out. There is a microfiber edge on these molds that makes it really, really easy to get the perfect mold that you want. Now I took this frames mold and I put it right over top of that lattice clay that I had on there to give it more of a three-dimensional look, and stuck that right on top of that area there. Now I'm going to take the trimmings mold, and I do like this, or this isn't the trimmings mold, this is the labels, conservatory labels mold. That's what it is. I'm going to take this and I'm going to make one label and I'm going to cut it in half. And then I'm going to use it as a trim piece on the bottom of my bucket. So my bucket doesn't have kind of a stark edge to it anymore. It has kind of a lacy Victorian look to it. French. It's kind of a French look is what I was going for. And I just went all the way around the bottom and on the top with that label. I let that dry, and after it was completely dried, I took the Cottage Color in Anvil and I went over the top of the entire bucket. Using the Cottage Colors is a perfect solution for when you're doing a project like this because it's not going to distress with water, and so the black is going to stay on. I needed 2 coats to cover this entire bucket and give it a nice black look. And then I went over with the Cottage Color in Juniper, which is a very, very pretty sagey green, and I just dotted it in some areas. This is going to look a little on the goofy side, but I wanted to just make it look like there was maybe moss or something that had grown on this bucket. Everything is completely dried. Now I take my DIY clay-based paint that will distress with water, and I placed it over top of the entire bucket, covering up that anvil and that juniper look and giving this the nice French country look that I'm going for here. Back to the veranda stamp, there is the rose that's in the center of that frame. So I went ahead and made sure that that fit, taking my IOD black ink and re-inking my ink pad. You don't have to do this very often, but my black ink has been out for a while. So I just went and reloaded up my ink, which you can find these products on my website at thepaintedphotographer.com. I usually take my stamp and I stamp it one time somewhere else, just on a piece of paper, on a cloth. It just gets the ink saturated into that stamp a little bit more than just the very first time. So I went ahead and put this stamp onto the rounded bucket, which didn't work very well. I'm going to show you my fails. So that was a bit on the smeary side. So what I did is I just took a baby wipe, wiped that off, took some more white paint and painted it over again. You can fix that. Just don't worry. It's all is good. Then I wrapped my paintbrush up in a baby wipe just in case I needed it again. I took my stamp this time and I put it on a piece of painter's tape, sticky side down, or sticky side up. Then I took the ink and I inked the stamp, making sure to get all the excess off of my stamp and my tape. And then I took the tape and used it as a handle and placed it on there, taping it to the bucket. This time my hands aren't the only thing that's holding it. And I gently went around and then peeled it back off. Much better. That actually worked that time. I did have a couple little spots that I didn't get, so I took a baby wipe and touched those up, and all is good. There you go. You've seen my mistake. And after that ink was dry, I took a baby wipe and I distressed back some of that white paint so that we can see that juniper and anvil come popping through, giving it a distressed look and bringing out the details in this bucket. Now comes the really fun part. I had prairie gray, and so it was almost gone. So I put water in it and I watered it way down. Then I misted my project and everything was all nice and watery. And I just let the brown paint drip down to give it an aged look. I wasn't going to go over the rose look, but in the end it ended up just dripping over top of that area because it did look kind of stark, like it was, how could it miss that area? The age missed that area. So I went ahead and misted it, and I just misted a little bit more on that rose area so it wasn't covering it up completely. And I did the whole bucket. Then I'm coming back with the DIY clear wax and waxing the entire project, bringing out those details. Look at how the wax just brings out the color in that prairie gray and also just gives it a nice aged look. This project has been turning out so cool. I hope that you like it, and if you'd give me a comment and tell me if you do enjoy this video, I would appreciate it. Then I went with some dark wax after the clear wax, so you can kind of use that clear wax as an eraser and not get too much dark. I didn't want too much dark, but I wanted a little bit of age and I wanted it to stick inside the crevices. So I come back with a cloth and wipe that all off.
Wasn't that fun how you can use stamps with your air dry clay and stamp into the clay and then glue the clay on the project? It was really fun, and I really like the texture of it, along with some of the IOD inks and the DIY paints. This was a fun project, and I hope that you will be inspired to make one too. If you need any products or see any items that you'd like to purchase, please head on over to my website at thepaintedphotographer.com and I will ship it right to your front door. If you're local, you can head over to Foreman's Farm Home in Medford, Wisconsin, and they have all of the IOD and DIY products there. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe so that you can stay connected with me and all of my fun videos. Thanks for watching. And until next time, happy painting.
So that you can get, please like and subscribe so that you will get an email